Hi everyone, Ingrid Poudet here from No More Noise Toronto, and I'm here to give you a quick summary on the Moving Motor Vehicle Task Force's meetings that we had this week. Okay, so let's get started. So I'm going to quickly go over an introduction of No More Noise Toronto. We'll go over vehicle noise, your comments that were provided. I did a Mentimeter, so we'll learn a little bit about you, and then we'll have a proposal of where we go from here. Over here is the QR code for the Mentimeter, and you can also join at menti.com and use code 81468285. And I'm going to show you the results that we have so far, but you are welcome to participate in that and share yours. It is an anonymous way for you to provide feedback on the questions that I ask. And the big square in the bottom there is No More Noise Toronto website, and that is where you'll be able to get resources on moving vehicle noise, plus a whole bunch of other good things. So I hope that you visit there, and that's also where you can sign up for noise news. So introduction to No More Noise Toronto. We are a group that's focused on the noises that wake us up, keep us up, and disturb us day and night. We take a data and process-oriented approach, which has garnered us lots of support from people, over 1,550 supporters, and as well as the support of FONTRA and FOSTRA, which is the Federation of North and South Toronto Residents Associations. We are engaged in the civic process at City Hall, and that because of our data and process-oriented approach, we've actually, and our collaborative approach, it's made us friends with 4 city divisions. Municipal Licensing and Standards, which is the bylaw enforcement people, the police, Toronto Public Health, and Toronto at Your Service, which is also the 311 service. So we're also very happy to be collaborating with Civic Tech Toronto, Esri Canada. We have students with the University of Toronto and Toronto Metropolitan University working with us, Gasbusters, and Quiet Communities down in the US. So here's the code again for the Mentimeter. Please go ahead and either go to menti.com and enter the code of 81468285, or use the QR code with your phone to access the survey. It'll be available for 14 days from today. So why a task force for moving motor vehicles? Well, first of all, this is illegal. There's law against making this kind of noise and for doing the modifications. And so let's just tackle it. Like, we're here. We know it's wrong. And everyone knows that the reporting and the enforcement processes don't work. Whether you are trying to report it to the city or Toronto Police, it's problematic, and we'll go into that a little bit more. So the technology exists to help fix it. So I think we just need to focus and get it done. And I would say, let's say 2 to 3 years of pushing, and maybe we can actually all get sanity back into our lives and get sleep again. So the regulations and laws that cover vehicle noise cover all 3 levels of government. So from right to left, federal, you've got the noise emission standard 1106, and it says that, vehicles that are made in Canada or imported into Canada should not exceed 80 decibels plus or minus 2. I don't know if there's a way to report vehicles that aren't, if there's any enforcement, or if there's any fines for vehicles not doing that. I just imagine they don't come off the line or shouldn't be coming into Canada. But clearly they are. Provincially, we have the Highway Traffic Act, and there's Regulation 75.1, which says you should not modify your muffler, and Regulation 75.4, which is unnecessary noise. So you should not make any unnecessary noise with your muffler. And then reporting, you would report that to Toronto Police Services or your local police detachment, or the OPP, Ontario Provincial Police. Sometimes they do have enforcement measures such as Project Noisemaker, where they try and make an effort to reduce the noisemakers on our street, but it never really seems to work very well. And they can also do it as part of routine inspections. When they pull somebody over for speeding, they can look for a modified muffler, for example. The fines under the Highway Traffic Act start at $85, and on the link there with the 85 is where it's the regulation numbers of 204 to 207 and 211. And there's also a court appearance required. So that's provincially, and then municipally. So the Provincial Highway Traffic Act is about moving vehicles. For municipal, the City of Toronto noise bylaw is only about stationary vehicles. So this is where, thanks to a whole bunch of people who advocated for it, We now have 92 decibels at idle for motorcycles and vehicles. Before it was just motorcycles. And now we've also had a small win of, they also test for 96 decibels at any engine speed above idle. Well, this has been a little bit problematic in its implementation, so further refinement needs to happen. So you report stationary vehicle noise to the City of Toronto as a service request, and you can do that on their website. They have an app. You can also send them an email. But they can't do anything for moving vehicle noise, remember? So this is just for stationary noise, yet they tell us to call them for everything. We're going to go into that in a minute. Enforcement, they do sometimes have inspection events or blitzes, as they're called. And that's a joint initiative between Municipal Licensing and Standards and Toronto Police Services. They had 3 this summer and the results weren't great. And then the fines are fairly hefty, though, of $500. And you have to pay and are attended in court. So to access this document, click this link down here, and then that'll take you to the document where you can click on all these links if you would like that information. So as I mentioned, it's a broken reporting process. So if you get woken up by, you're sleeping in your home and you get woken up by a loud vehicle, we're told to call 311 for everything. And they say, well, we can't actually do anything because that's a moving vehicle complaint. So the case is actually closed, but thanks for your data point. Before, they didn't even take it as a data point. So at least now you can register a moving vehicle complaint and they will say, thanks, it's a data point. But the thing is that, your moving vehicle complaint still hasn't been is still unresolved. So then they tell you to call the police. And so you may look at their website or you may call them. And that's when the police, they want a picture, they want a license plate, they want a description of the vehicle, what happened. Well, you got woken up at night. And if you're in a condo like me, well, you're not going to have any of that information. So if you try and make the complaint once, odds are you won't do it again. And so basically we are left as residents with an unhappy outcome because there also is no formalized transfer between 311 and Toronto Police Services, as I understand. So your data point doesn't actually regularly get to Toronto Police Services for them to do anything with it. So now let's move on to Toronto Police Services. And basically enforcement for all of this is lacking to non-existent. So the police, they say, we've had 3 conversations with them and they say, well, we can't chase them. And I say, we don't want you to. We want you to get them before you even have to chase them or think about chasing them. And the thing is that there's minimal training on identifying illegal mufflers. We've asked the questions at the Toronto Police Services Board and they say, yeah, it's part of, it's part of our training, but how much? Not much. So the police have to catch them in the act and be able to stop them. And so that is all problematic. It just doesn't work because they're racing, and even to try and catch them with the phones, like we're walking on the side of the road, we can't even record or take a picture fast enough. So it's next to impossible for the police. And now stock cars are allowed with active exhausts where they have a valve that opens in the exhaust system and lets more sound out. And this right now requires a court appearance, which is a waste of time and a waste of money. And then, the evidence is sometimes, as I was saying, really hard to get. So, is the police officer going to take that chance? Probably not. And then finally, in the court system, equipment infractions are not prioritized. So they might just get tossed out of court, or not even heard. So that's a whole big problem. So fixes do exist. We can improve the reporting process. We can implement automated enforcement, such as noise cameras, like that, the technology. So in New York City, they are using noise cameras called SoundView, and those are manufactured or built by a company in the UK called Intelligent Instruments. And we had them here in Toronto on December 9th, and they presented to the city. And those cameras are being utilized in New York City. And so they are actively triggered upon the right decibel level. They take a picture, they read the license plate, and they send a ticket in the mail. The driver is able to, if they want to dispute it, they can go to court. However, the tickets are standing up in court. So anybody that says the technology isn't ready, they haven't seen the latest technology. So the other thing that we can do is make them an administrative penalty, is make these noise camera tickets or noise tickets an administrative penalty, which means they get a ticket in the mail and then they can dispute it if they want, but that is a whole different system. It's not actually the court system, which is already overburdened. And so the other thing is we can just simply not allow the sale and installation of the products that are modified, that people use to modify their vehicles. And then there's also behavior modification, which is one of the things that the city and the police always want to start with. So they want to start with education, but of course, higher fines would help. And also different road infrastructure. Speed and noise are correlated, not always, but so roundabouts or speed bumps or lower speeds may help in reducing noise. So we do need to go to the province with requests, and you may know or have heard the expression, cities are creatures of the province. Well, we don't own our streets, is what it comes down to. So this means we need to advocate to the province for permission to do an automated noise enforcement pilot, permission to read the license plate information and use it, and changes to the Highway Traffic Act, such as increasing fines. So we do have precedent for this, and that is the red light cameras and the speed cameras and the new cameras coming for the streetcars. So those are all were approved by the province, and the speed cameras are only in certain areas because that's what the province allowed us to do. So that's where, again, the precedent is that we would buy the cameras, the city or the province allows for that pilot to happen, and probably would put restrictions on where they could go, which we don't want. But anyways, and then that would then change into an administrative penalty and improve the whole process from end to end. So we would need to go to the province to request this. So some of the comments that came out of the two meetings was that for the working group here, that there should be a couple subgroups, and I fully expected this. So one of the groups I would bucket into licensing, renewal, and testing and inspections. There's a link there on the light duty inspection standard, and I guess there's precedent in California where the state of California is requiring some stock models to be changed because they're too loud. If you have aftermarket modifications and you're discovered, you receive a ticket, you will get a fine, and then you also have to fix it in order to register your vehicle again. So that is kind of one group. The next group would be what we need from the province. So looking at the noise cameras, automated enforcement, the Highway Traffic Act changes, all of those things. So that is a level of advocacy that we need. And then there's citizen reporting, anonymous citizen reporting, which is also important. So there's this organization called tooloud.org, and that is where right now you can take a picture and upload it to this website where then it's anonymous. But you can put in the license plate and it gets the registration and all that good stuff. And then this is a way to create a database of loud or offending vehicles that possibly Ministry of Transportation or a vehicle registrar or an insurance agency could look at and go, oh, look at this car. It was reported as being loud. Maybe we should pull that in for an inspection or something like that. Cities could also use that database, for example. So the other thing is lobbying for physical noise mitigation, such as speed bumps, roundabout speed cameras, like I was talking about before. Some people felt that this would be an effective way of reducing vehicle noise. And finally, there's the big bullet there, class action lawsuit. Many people are talking about this and have asked me about this. So somebody in the chat basically posted that the best class action would be against the Provincial Vehicle Licensing Authority. As they are reissuing license every year, even though the vehicles may not be safe or equivalent to OEM standards. So that's certainly something to investigate. I guess there's also precedent of a class action lawsuit from a racetrack in Mount Tremblant, Quebec, where there was a racetrack and the citizens had a class action lawsuit and they received monetary compensation. I still need more data on that though. And then there's also Legal Shield. Oops. Which is a legal business where you can pay a monthly fee and then you have access to legal advice. And we may have them in for a presentation or other people in for a presentation possibly in August to learn more about class action lawsuits and what are the conditions necessary in order to launch one of those. So I want to share with you what you shared with me. And this is through the Mentimeter. So these results here might be different than if you were to look at the results if any of you participated. So what you shared is that most of you have between 1 and 3 hours to give a month. So thank you for that. And how people said they could help by public speaking, by looking at technology, by researching some of the information that we need, meeting with officials, and fundraising, outreach, and writing letters. So that's awesome. I also want to recognize that not everybody is comfortable with every kind of participation. So I've asked what people are comfortable with. And basically, no one would want to talk to others about noise, or no one just wants to listen. People want to do something. And so people want to actively share their thoughts and work towards a solution. 4 people will do almost anything, which is unique to this particular noise source so far. And 5 people don't mind doing something behind the scenes and work, and will send some emails, which is 100% understandable. My mouse keeps moving here. So I also asked where people want to focus, and most people said municipally. That is also the politics that affect us the most. So absolutely, I understand that. Provincially was next, and then federally was last. So interesting, we can absolutely act on all 3 of those levels. So where we go from here, we've got, I think we need to start with raising awareness and educating residents about the impacts of moving vehicle noise and what they can do. So there is Toronto Public Health's report to the Board of Health on the noise action plan is coming on April 1st. So what I'd like to do is have a email campaign for that. And because traffic is the #1 cause of noise cited in their report, I think we can certainly make some recommendations and requests to reduce vehicle noise. And I think we should create a set of asks that apply to the City of Toronto, such as mitigations listed on the previous slide, such as changing the bylaw, those kind of things. And then we also need to research what we need to ask for from the province in order to have automated enforcement. And we can also research other areas: inspections, testing, citizen reporting, class actions. And I think we also need to connect with associations and elected officials. So all of this, I think we need to do in preparation for a summer provincial email campaign to get changes across the province for noise cameras. Vehicle noise is not just a problem in Toronto, it's a problem everywhere. On Thursday, we had someone from Ottawa join us, and I've had people from Hamilton and from Guelph. So there's lots of support out there. We just need to find them. And that's part of that, connecting with associations and elected officials. And then we also need to find those solutions, such as inspections and testing and citizen reporting, and then see what we can do to raise the awareness of what people can do. So let's do this. Moving motor vehicle noise bothers me daily. I have no respite from it in my home, and I know many of you feel the same way. So here's the link to sign up for the working group. And right now, it's just emails. It's just what you will be committed to is basically getting some emails from me about things that are coming up, and possibly emails to content to edit, or suggestions on how you can help. That is also the QR code for the sign up form as well. So thank you so much. So let's create a better Toronto by reducing noise and making things, just giving us all some sleep. And so let's make Toronto a better place, and a better place to sleep, and a better city. Thank you so much. Have a good night.